Welcome to this bonus episode of Health with Hashimoto's. In this bonus episode, I'm going to present content that is helpful and informative. It might be a little bit different than our regular episodes. And in today's episode, I'm going to do a book review of one of the books that was most recommended to me when I first got my diagnosis. But before we dive into that episode, I want to invite you to hop over to healthwithhashimotos.com and click that green Get Started button so that you can schedule your own coaching session with me. These Hashimoto's health sessions are 1 hour long, and you will uncover the number one thing you can start with to begin regaining your health with Hashimoto's. Whether this is a brand new diagnosis or you've had it for decades, I want you to be able to kickstart your health journey. Tomorrow is a new day. Tomorrow is new whether you've been on this Hashimoto's journey for a very short time or a very long time, and there's always something we can do. At the same time, sometimes that always something that we can do can feel very overwhelming. I don't want you to be overwhelmed. I want you to have simple and sustainable things that you can do going forward. So in this session together, I will listen to your story. When is the last time a health provider took the time to listen to your story? Or did they just want the bullet points? I will listen to your story so that you get to share where you've been, what you've felt, what you've tried, what's working, what's not working, and together we can figure out the next step in your health journey. So hop over to healthwithhashimotos.com, click that green Get Started button. It will take you to my calendar where you can schedule a time that works perfectly for you so that we can together work on your next step for kickstarting your health journey. I have a bonus episode for you today. It is a book review of one of the books that was recommended to me the most often when I was first diagnosed with Hashimoto's thyroiditis. I kept hearing about the medical medium and his protocol for thyroid. So I picked up the book at my local library. It's called Medical Medium, Thyroid Healing, written by Anthony William, who calls himself the medical medium. So first, a little bit about my background and what makes me qualified to review a book on health. What makes me qualified to host this podcast? You probably need to know that if you're going to trust my opinion on something that I'm reading or what I'm talking to you about. I have been a nurse for over 20 years. I have my bachelor degree in nursing. I've worked all over the nation in Western medicine. And I got sick and fed up of just putting short-term band-aids on chronic things. The Western view of being reactive and just looking at symptoms, it wasn't right. I got fed up with it. I knew there were other ways that we could be helping all of the people that we come into contact. I mean, it's healthcare. We should be helping people get healthy. It's not sick care. Well, unfortunately, Western medicine could be called sick care because we take care of the sick, we keep them sick, we focus on the symptoms, and we give them medications to manage the symptoms. I wish that you would go in to talk to your doctor, or you would even go into the emergency department and you would hear, yes, these are your symptoms and this is what you can do. But also, here are some things that you can do to get better. Here are some things that you can do for the root cause. And I love that there are more doctors, there are more providers, there are more people talking about root cause. In fact, now you can find a functional medicine practitioner and you can go see them as your primary practitioner. I love that we're starting to turn that tide as a nation, as a world, and we're starting to get into root cause. So after about 15 years, I went back to school. It took me 2 years to go back to school to become, my official title is Holistic Health Educator. I went back to a program for nurses, and it taught me to look at the whole person. I've always had a whole person view. I always, from the very beginning, my first nursing class in college, I wrote a paper about how you are a whole person, body, mind, spirit. When I went back to school, that got broadened a bit, and I was taught and shown in the research and in the literature how body, mind, spirit, diet, environment all are interconnected. You are a whole person, and everything you do, it impacts all 5 of those areas. So after going back to school, becoming a holistic health educator, I left the ER and I started my own practice where I help women over Zoom. I do private coaching and I have programs so that they can increase their wellness, their health, focusing on root cause, becoming healthy overall. And of course, now I specialize in Hashimoto's. So that's a bit of my background. So when I come and read this book, that's where I'm coming from. I'm coming from a viewpoint where I know Western medicine, I know the literature, I know the medications, I know the labs. I also have a view of the holistic. I also know the body, mind, spirit, diet, environment, how things work together to help you with your thyroid, to help you with Hashimoto's. So as I read this book, number one, I loved that this book started with compassion. He started out by saying your symptoms, your illness, it's not your fault. 5 stars for that. You are not your symptoms. You are not your disease. You are you. You are valuable, and getting sick is not your fault. Were there things that you might have done that contributed to it? Yeah, but that's just part of life. We are all doing things every day that are not optimal. Does that mean that it's your fault that you got sick? Absolutely not. So it is not your fault. I love that he started his book with saying that because it's not your fault. I also really appreciate that he said without true insight into what causes thyroid illness, medical communities are not yet able to offer remedies that heal the underlying problem. Again, that's going back to what I was just talking about. We have to address the root cause. We cannot just address symptoms. So when I read those 2 things, I was really excited about the rest of the book. Knowing that he's not going to cast blame or shame, knowing that he's going to get to the root problem, it's like I was excited to read the rest. He also mentioned that your thyroid having problems is another symptom of something deeper. But then I read something that just made me shake my head and almost discredit the rest of the book. He said, the material in this book is authentic. It's the truth. Like a paragraph later, he said even the latest books on thyroid disease are outdated before they hit the shelves. So then I'm wondering, okay, so what is this book? Because if this is a book about thyroid disease, are you telling me that I'm reading an outdated book? And he also implied that everything else was wrong. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute. There's a lot of really good research. Science is an evolving thing. We make hypotheses based on what we already know, and we investigate those hypotheses to see what we can learn. Science is always evolving. Is he correct in saying that books get outdated? Yes. But do we just throw out the baby with the bathwater? No, we build upon what we have learned. We don't disregard it. We say, oh, you know what? That thing that we've learned in the past, that wasn't right. This is what we have learned. We have learned that because of new research. And we express gratitude for what we have learned, for where we're coming from. And then he went on to say that if a book tells you that Hashimoto's is actually your body attacking itself, it's outdated. He went on to say that he has the key to Hashimoto's, and that is a virus. Well, if you've listened to the rest of my episodes, you know that there's 3 things for autoimmune diseases. And yes, Hashimoto's thyroiditis is an autoimmune disease. It is your immune system getting confused and starting to attack your thyroid gland. Every autoimmune disease has 3 things: a genetic component, a gut component, and a trigger. So when he went on to say that there is one virus, not just viruses, but one specific virus that is, quote, the thyroid virus, more red flags went up in my mind as I'm reading this book. So about 90% of people have Epstein-Barr virus. We don't have symptoms, but we have it. We've been exposed to it. Epstein-Barr virus is what's responsible for mono, the kissing disease. If you've heard of that, I'm sure you have. When you get the Epstein-Barr virus, it manifests itself as mono or it causes mono about 30 to 50% of the time. Otherwise, it can just be latent in your body. Epstein-Barr virus is in the family of herpes viruses. Now, go ahead and think in your mind, when do people get cold sores? Like, they have the virus, they'll tell you that they have that herpes virus. When do they get the cold sore? They get the cold sore when they're under stress. That's when it manifests itself. So the Epstein-Barr virus is similar. It acts up more when we're under stress. In fact, Epstein-Barr virus, you have an increase in symptoms when you have psychological or mental stress more than physiological stress. I know that for me, running is a physical stressor, and I cannot do it at this point in time in my Hashimoto's healing journey. That's a physical stressor. Well, the Epstein-Barr virus, it reacts more to psychological and mental stress. And living through the last couple of years, we have had so much stress, so much psychological and mental stress. It is an epidemic in the world. So much stress. So it makes sense that people are experiencing more symptoms caused by the Epstein-Barr virus. This book is built on the premise that the Epstein-Barr virus is the one thing responsible for Hashimoto's and for thyroid problems. And that's just not supported in the literature. And the book does not support itself with the literature. The book has just two references. As an RN and as a holistic health coach, as somebody who digs into the research, I trust research and published things, not hype. I want to see more than 2 studies notated in a book of this length. The first one is about the Epstein-Barr virus, and the second one is about water quality. Someday I might write a book. People have suggested it over the years, and that might be down the road. If and when I write a book, I will support what I'm saying with things that have proven through the research and over time to be true and accurate, because I want to give you information that is true and accurate. When I tell you about something that you can do, I want to make it simple so that you can actually do it. I want to make it sustainable so that you can continue doing it over time. Because if things are not simple and sustainable, you're not going to maintain them, and it's not going to change your health. The goal is to improve our health. The goal is to improve it at the root cause so that you can experience a healthier, whole you. You want to be healthy, body, mind, spirit, diet, environment, all of it. So the remainder of the book has some good things. I really appreciate how he emphasizes eating whole foods, real foods. Incorporating plants into your diet at every single meal is always a good thing. The recipes in this book are really good, but telling you just part of the story, that there's a virus component, and not telling you the rest of the story, that you have to focus on the whole you, it does you a disservice in my mind. None of us exist in a bubble. None of us are the ultimate be-all expert. We're all in a community, and I want to see the medical community doing better. I want to see the medical community working at the root cause. Doctors, nurses, all providers, they went into healthcare to help. There's a lot of things that are going wrong in our healthcare system, right? But that's not why people went into medicine. Most people went into medicine to actually, truly help. And when a book opens by saying, none of that matters, here's the only thing you need to know, it's a red flag. My book review for this, I cannot give it a 5-star review. I'm going to give it a red flag review. There are some helpful things. There are some good recipes. However, with the red flags in the book, I cannot recommend it. There are other books that I would recommend that you read instead. For example, Isabella Wentz, she's a pharmacist, and she has written a couple books about Hashimoto's and thyroid. Her books did not raise any red flags when I read them. They were based on research, they're based on facts, they're based on her own practice and things that she has seen with the patients that she's helping. Her books are really well-rounded and there are no red flags. When you're looking at any book, any medical information, you want to make sure that it's looking at the root causes, that it's giving you simple and sustainable things that you can do for your health, and you want to make sure that it's focusing on more than just one aspect. And like I said at the beginning of this episode, I am offering Hashimoto's health sessions. Click on the link in the show notes. It will take you directly to that page, or head over to healthwithhashimotos.com and click the green Get Started button.